Morning, and welcome to another rant with me. Now, I apologise again. I make lots of apologies for not recording stuff at the moment, but the last 2 weeks in the UK has been like an utter sauna. And when I sat down to record this, I've tried to record various videos over the last few weeks, trying to sort of put some stock on the channel. And I've just looked like a big sweaty blob, which is partly to do with the amount of weight I've put on as part of my divorce process. So I am in the process of going on a diet. It's not easy when you have a job that sends you away for weeks at a time, but we are getting there. Now, I'm going to start with account privacy. Now, you're probably sitting there going, why is this idiot talking about account privacy? This is a music rant. Well, it is, but account privacy is still important. So, we all use the internet now. It's a stable way of producing and promoting yourself to wherever you need to be promoted. So if you're a musician trying to get your music out there, or a composer, should I say, you're using social media and you're using various portals to try and publish your music to a wider spectrum or wider audience than just gigging can do. Each one of those channels, if you like, of promotion that you're doing requires you to have some sort of user account, which is protected by a username and password. Typically, it's a different username and a different password for every portal, but the reality is that most people out there use either a very similar user account and they use a similar password. Now, I don't know whether anyone has seen Spider-Man Far From Home, the latest Spider-Man movie that's just come out in 2019 following the Avengers Endgame. There's a cracking scene in there where Spider-Man, aka Tom Holland, is standing there talking to Jon Favreau, who's playing Happy. And he says, "What's your password?" And he said, "Password." And Spider-Man says, "No, what's your password?" And he says, "Password." And he said, "So you're the head of security and you have a password that is password." In joke. But it is no in joke, because hackers out there, they're the first things that people try when they try to hack into your account. Now, the reason I'm raising this is because I've had, in the last 2 weeks, 2 instances of people trying to breach my YouTube channel and also my Instagram account. So if you guys are using these sort of this media, my word to the wise to you guys is change your passwords and invoke two-factor authentication. I'll come back to that. I have also had a very interesting journey with this, in that most of you who follow the channel regularly know that I have been going through a very nasty divorce with somebody who is trying to run a vendetta against me because I left her. Now, one of the things that was disclosed as part of the court proceedings in March was a letter that I wrote to her, and that letter basically encompassed a number of instructions. And those instructions were around if I got hit by the number 73 bus, how she was able to get hold of money to carry on. Because if your partner dies unexpectedly, like getting hit by the number 73 bus, quite often one of the first things you don't think about for your partner is actually how do they survive in those first few weeks. Now, I wanted to make sure she would be okay in that instance, and therefore I left a letter with instructions about how to get hold of cash that she was legitimately able to do, and how she could effectively carry on until the items in my will were sorted out and the various things were moved around. But it's that first period where your partner dies and you haven't got access. So, being the loving person I was, I wanted to make sure she was okay. I wrote this letter. The letter was given to a third party. The reason for that was I didn't want if somebody broke into the house or people who were inquisitive found the letter could open it up and get all the passwords and access to the bank accounts. Not a great idea. It was given to somebody I trust, and they would have, in the event of my death, given it back to my ex, and she would have been able to get access to what she needed to. Now, what's really interesting is, from April onwards, I have had a series of emails from people with a password that was in that document saying, we know your password. So somewhere between her legal firm and the court, I don't know where, that document has been leaked to the black market. So, what am I saying? Don't write things down. I'm not being that stupid. Of course you're going to have to write things down, especially if you're using strong passwords. Get yourself a password safe and put it on your laptop with an encryption. You're at least protecting yourself that way. But going back to having my email account, sorry, my YouTube account and my Instagram account compromised. Now they've got hold of things like my email address, for argument's sake, and they have tried to log on unsuccessfully to those accounts. Now, as I say, since then I've changed the passwords again. They've now got strong encrypted passwords on them, a lot stronger than they were, I might add. And the other thing I've done is I've gone through and I've put an app on this thing, which is what we call in the trade two-factor authentication. So basically what it means is if I log onto my computer, even though I've put the right username and password and maybe some other credentials into the computer, I still have to have the code that is generated by this. So effectively what you do is you link the two together, you go through a sequence of events. And if you know, banks are going down this route as well. I have had for a number of years a multi-factor authentication process on my bank, and just sent me a new one of these things through for authenticating myself. Again, but I don't actually need that because I have a different way of doing it. So, why am I saying this? Well, as I said earlier on, you are promoted yourself through this medium or through social media in general. And if somebody manages to get hold of your account, not only can they get hold of all your subscribers and contacts, but they can start sending messages on your behalf. They can start stealing your intellectual property, as in your compositions, your work. So my message really is, change your passwords. Go to all your social media feeds, go to your Twitter feeds, your Instagram feeds, your Facebook accounts, and make sure that if there is an option available to enable two-factor authentication through some sort of app, whether it be on your phone or on your computer, it's irrelevant, but ideally it would be on your phone, by the way, that's because it's divorced. Get that enabled, change it, make it much harder for somebody to steal your identity, your intellectual property, and your, good name. Good name goes for everything in this place. Remember, in the city, right, where you've got a company which is sitting on the stock market, it can take a day for your company to use 10% of its value. One day. In fact, in some instances, a lot more can be wiped off the value of your company. It can take 10 years to recover that value because they have to trust you again, if that makes sense. It's the same, exactly the same when you're promoting yourself on here. People have to trust what the message you're selling, if you like. Hopefully I don't sell a message, but if you sort of understand what I'm trying to get across here. So, there you go. This week's rant, not really about music per se, but about the technology that is wrapped around the promotion of the individuals that maybe are making the music, performing the music. So hopefully that's enlightening. I do hope it is anyway. If it's not, well hey, that's another story, isn't it? I am going to do a mailbag after this, so if you see the mailbag popping up this week, probably before this video actually, then you know I'm still sitting here doing the same thing. Bye bye. Remember, hit that like button if you like what you saw. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to be notified about more rants, more mailbag, more questions and answers, and more videos about this sort of stuff when it's loaded to the channel. Until next time, bye bye.